Okay, take 59. I'm Greg Davis, the president and founder of D3 Energy, and this is my live stream. And this is where I'm going to be talking about the oil and gas industry and this great change that's underfoot, that's underway right now. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tutorial as I go along this week about oil and gas. And Oil and Gas 101 for all of you who are not technically savvy about this business. And I'm also going to give you a little background on myself so you can understand how I know what I know. So at the age of 13, I went to work with my father, Marvin Davis, who was one of the great wildcatters. And by the way, he was married to Barbara Davis, my mother, fantastic mother, and I had the great fortune of being their son. So I went to work with my father when I was 13 years old, and he had one of the great oil and gas companies, private oil and gas companies in the United States. And he built that up over the years, and over a period of about 25 years, he drilled over 10,000 wells, found hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and trillions of cubic feet of natural gas. And so I had the great pleasure of going to work with him and some of the great geologists and landmen and engineers, folks like Paul Messinger, John Melby, John Buffington, Will Vondrell, Gordon Healy. And I remember I loved being with my father, and he loved being with me. And so to spend time with him, he worked every day of the week except Sunday. So on Saturdays, I would go down to the office with him, and he would have meetings. And I remember sitting there and watching the guys doing their work, and I distinctly remember the great food that was there, donuts and hot chocolate. My dad was smart. The way he was going to ingrain in me this industry and what he knew was to feed me. So, and by the time I had graduated from college from USC, I had about 8 years under my belt working in the industry. And right before the big downturn, the big crash in 1985, my father sold all of his oil and gas in a series of 3 different sales totaling $870 million. And at that time, he had seen the change that was underfoot then and said, we're moving out of this business and we're going west, we're going to Hollywood. And he invested into the entertainment business, bought 20th Century Fox, got into resorts and real estate, Pebble Beach and Aspen. And essentially I went to work in those with him in most of those industries. By the way, as a side note, I had a brother, my brother John. He wasn't into the oil and gas business. He got into the entertainment business and built up a big, fabulous business, very, very successful. You may have heard of some of his shows. He made The Predator, and most recently, right now, he's got the show The Blacklist on. So he went one way, I went into the real estate side and the other businesses. And in 1995, my father and I started talking, and we could see there was a change afoot at that time. Oil and gas was coming back, and that's when we decided to create Davis Petroleum Corp. And Davis Petroleum Corp was essentially the same kind of business where we drilled for conventional oil and gas. And just a quick little digression, oil and gas, there's conventional and unconventional, and all of you have probably heard about fracking. Well, fracking is for the unconventional, getting oil and gas out of shales and all that. And conventional was basically where, and it's where we just drill a hole into the ground and the oil and gas will naturally flow. And tomorrow I'll get into a little bit more of where oil and gas comes from, especially for all of you who are not technical, and give you a little background on the difference between conventional and unconventional. And I'll go through the Davis Petroleum days and that business, and then how I got started my team and I started D3 Energy. So I appreciate you all spending a little time with me today. I hope you come back tomorrow. And if you will, please invite your friends, share, and let's build this community. And thanks again for taking some time with me today. Have a great Sunday.